This is Todd Owens with Capital Chaos TV, and we're here with Tobias from Vomitory on the Brutal Christmas Part 2 in Japan, Hiroshima. How you doing, Tobias?
I'm pretty tired, but I'm okay. Excited to play tonight.
You've been on this tour for about a week or so. How's the tour in Japan going?
It's doing good. We've done 3 shows so far out of 6, so this is the 4th one tonight in Hiroshima. And the fans are amazing, and hey, we're having a good time.
Is this your first time in Japan?
Yeah.
So you guys made the big announcement back in, I guess, February of this year that you're disbanding the band at the end of the year. So I just wanted to dive into that a little bit, and what was the thoughts behind that? And
that's a decision that has been growing for quite some time, actually. I mean, Vomitory has been an active band, no breaks, for 24 years, and we feel that, I mean, the older you get, the more difficult it gets to combine the private life with the work, because we all have normal jobs with works and families, and to combine it with the band. I mean, lately it's been really difficult to even find a time to practice that suits everyone in the band. And yeah, and personally I feel if I can't do it the way I want to do it, the band, I think it's better to quit, because I don't want the Vomitory to just fade away. Let's say if we would have taken things down a notch, I didn't want that, and it was a collective decision as well, that we decided to disband.
will this be the final? No chance for like a one-off reunion or any one-off tours or anything, or are you just burying it?
We're burying it. This is it.
All right, and I think you have a special show in Sweden maybe next week, right? Is that your final show? Yeah. And maybe just talk about that. I know some special bands on the bill.
Yeah, that's the farewell show on the 27th in our hometown, in our area. We got General Surgery from Stockholm as support. Also God Macabre from the same area that we're from. They actually disbanded back in '92, but they got together temporarily for a reunion during 2014 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of their album, The Winterlong, that came out in '93, because it's being reissued by Relapse Records. And so it's God Macabre, General Surgery, and Vomitory. And Vomitory will have a few death metal celebrities as guests on stage with us.
So your first album was out in '96, Raped in Our Own Blood, and then right through the last album in 2011, Opus Mortis 8. And for all that time you'd been on Metal Blade. I just wanted to touch on Metal Blade and your relationship with them as a label, and how it's been. And
we've been with Metal Blade since 2000. The first 2 albums were released on a small Dutch indie label called Fadeless Records. But since our 3rd album, Revelation Nausea, we've been with Metal Blade, and they've been really good to us throughout all the years. It's been a very good label for us.
And then the start of the band back in '89, as you mentioned, I guess your brother and Ronnie started the band, and then you came in a few months after that, and maybe you could just talk about the early days a little bit, and maybe your influences. And
the influences back then was not purely death metal, because death metal wasn't really around in that way. The big explosion hadn't happened.
Still the end of the thrash.
Yeah, more the thrash thing. Because so the bands that we were influenced by mostly back then was Sodom was one of the biggest influences. Sodom, Creator, Slayer, of course, Venom, Celtic Frost. Yeah.
Just briefly talked to you earlier about Exhumed, but I just actually interviewed him about 2 weeks ago, Matt from Exhumed, and just any thoughts on them or the band? Or favorite of yours, right?
Yeah, I love Exhumed. They're such a great death metal band. Slaughter Cult is one of my top 5 death metal albums ever.
Any thoughts on Necrocracy? They just put out a new album, I guess, about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I actually haven't listened to it that much yet. It's harder to get into than the previous one, All Gods No Glory, which also is an album that I really like. Still can't top Slaughter Cult.
What's like the metal scene like in Sweden nowadays, and maybe compare and contrast it to what it was like 20 years ago or 24 years ago when you started?
I mean, it's still vital. A lot of bands everywhere, I guess. Bands come and go and trends come and go, but I think it's good. A lot of shows, a lot of festivals.
And I believe in your history you've only played one show in the United States, is that correct? I think it was the 2007 Maryland Death Fest.
Yeah.
And maybe just some thoughts about why you haven't been over to the States more, or?
Well, we had a lot of opportunities, but in the end, it has always been a question of money, of course. It's hard to make it happen, a tour happen, and we've also encountered a few some promoters that are not so serious or very inexperienced. They say, "Oh, we're going to do this tour, blah blah blah," and then in the end, it doesn't work out. We should have done a tour in September this year, but that was a prime example of a bad promoter.
Promoters backing out or making promises they couldn't keep?
Yeah, something like that. Well, actually, bureaucracy was also part of it, because it was a question of getting visas for us, and it didn't work out in time.
And how's it been being in a band with your brother for all these years?
Well, it's has its pros and cons, I guess. It's great because we know each other inside out, and most of the time he's more like a friend than actually a brother.
He's your older brother, I assume?
Yeah. He's 4 years older than I. But sometimes it's easier to get annoyed by your brother than maybe someone else. And it's not that we fight. We never fight really, but it has been okay. I mean, we've played together for 24 years, so.
And back around 2005 was when Peter joined, and that kind of, maybe I've heard some other interviews where you said kind of rejuvenated you guys, or?
Oh yeah, it did, definitely. That's exactly what Vomitory needed at that time, because we felt the band was going like this, and when Ulf quit, I felt like, no shit, he's quitting. But then that actually brought something good, because Ulf had been in the band for so many years, and he was a great friend and all that. But then Peter came in, who is a very skilled guitarist, which brought a lot of... well, he as a person brought a lot of positive energy, because he's a nice guy and all that, and a great guitarist.
And he's also contributed to the songwriting, I guess, a little bit too.
Oh yeah, he did. He actually wrote 3 of the 10 songs of the Terrorized, Brutalized, Sodomized album, which is the first one he's on.
And then I know a few years back you had some back issues and surgery and stuff like that. And how's the back holding up and everything good health-wise? Or
it's okay, but
I know you made some changes at that time, right, with in terms of how you set up your drum kit and.
Yeah, a little bit, but it was more an adjustment at work, because I work at a sign factory. So I used to work in production in the graphics workshop, but I got transferred to the office instead. So I work with construction and kind of pre-production now. So I don't have to do any heavy lifting or lean forward over a table, like a work table. So it's better, but it's not 100% okay, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm doing all right. But on a tour like this, when there's a lot of sitting still in a bus,
sitting and driving in a small bus.
yes, it comes
I
back.
saw pictures of that bus and I was like, wow, all those like 17 or 18 of you, or maybe more, piled into that little.
Yeah, I think we're more than 25, and us Swedes, we are a lot bigger than the Japanese people, so it's not made for Nordic guys. So it's tough, but you got to do it.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you for taking some time to meet with us, and I don't know if you have anything you wanted to add to people watching out there in Capital Chaos TV, or
well, to anyone who has supported Vomitory during the years, we thank you.